Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for joining Focus today. It is an interesting weather day, but we're glad that you're here. Please save any questions until the end, or you're also welcome to add them to the chat box, and our wonderful workshop leader will be answering all those questions at the end. Otherwise, it is an absolute pleasure to introduce to you Sara Barron. She is with Ventures ATL. Sara, take it away.
Well, it is an honor and a pleasure to be invited to speak because I am a former Focus mom, and I know that there are a lot of super moms in this group, and it's just my honor and privilege to speak to you. Uh, I am not only a mother of a special needs son who uh, is the joy of my life. But I'm also a sibling. My sister, Carolyn, had a birth trauma, and I was from a very early age. I can never remember a time when I was not doing things with her and admiring my parents for all they did for her. So that's part of my background. In addition, I am a co-founder of Ventures ATL, which is a nonprofit here in Atlanta that whose mission is to provide meaningful and sustainable employment for adults on the autism spectrum, as well as other related differences. Let me say today that my focus is not going to be on what the school does and transition and what that role of the school is, but it is really to share from a personal perspective my war stories and my experiences of helping our son through the transition process. And I'm going to focus on helping you to prepare your kids, because there will come a day when that school bus doesn't come anymore. Next slide, please. After the initial diagnosis of a disability, parents and differently able kids are busy. Their school annual IEPs every year, year after year, therapy appointments. There's that alphabet soup of OTs, PTs, etc. Doctor appointments, community and recreational activities for differently able kids. All those after school camps, programs, Special Olympics. You feel like things are really progressing well. And now I'll go to the next slide. And we reach that OMG moment. Your special needs kid is doing great, everything's progressing, and then your child turns age 22 and education services come to an end. And I liken it to a relay race in which that baton is passed forward year after year. And then at age 22, all too often, what happens is that baton is dropped and the parents are left to figure things out. Even with the best of planning, it is extremely challenging when they move on to that next step. So how are you going to handle this huge challenge? Next slide, please. I liken it to the elephant in the room that everybody is like, what am I going to do? And I say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And I say, do not underestimate the value of taking small steps over many years. I feel starting early there's never too early, because in a certain way, from the time we're born, our whole lives we're transitioning. And so, next slide, please. Where do we start? And we all have hopes and dreams for our children. We are trying to think about what the future might hold for them. And I say it's very important to create a vision of what you think you would like you hope your child's future might be. And I suggest that you ponder these questions. At age 22, what will their daily routine look like? What tasks will they be capable of doing? independently and with assistance? Who will they be expected to communicate with every day? Think about who and what they will be doing after high school. Will they be living at home, living in another setting? Will they be going to a job training program, post-secondary program, college? Will they be getting a job? And if they get a job, will it be what kind of job will they be able to do? It's a lot to take in. It's daunting to think about this. And your vision will depend on your child's needs and abilities. I say aim high, but be realistic. Your child may love animals and want a job working with taking care of dogs. However, would they enjoy cleaning out the cages and like at a vet's office or a daycare for dogs and cleaning up dog poop every day? Maybe, or maybe not. Our son just loved movies. And in high school, he told me he wanted to be the next Steven Spielberg. A friend gave him an opportunity to work on a low budget movie set as a person a volunteer for 2 days where he would be moving lighting equipment. And that was the moment after the second day that he realized that he did not want to be in the movies. He said, it's boring, it's tedious, you stand around a lot of time, and then they tell you to hurry up and move the equipment. So be aware that your vision will help you, but that you have to adjust as you go. Next slide. So how to begin to create this vision? Start early. Think about the strengths and skills of your child and what skills they have would be valued in the workplace. I'm thinking of my son here when I think about he's good-natured, he's a rule follower, he has physical strength, he has strong sequencing skills, computer skills, positive attitude, he's polite, he tries hard, but he still has many challenges. He's not a very good conversationalist. He isn't always great with time management. However, he does have strengths. And so think about the strengths of your child. Every child has different strengths and challenges, but I encourage you to think about the strengths and realize that in addition to the challenges that we're all too familiar with that our child possesses, there are also other challenges. They lack work experience. There can be transportation issues. And they're just not ready for a job yet. They need more practice to master these skills. So I suggest you create a list of independent living skills that you'd like to work on. And I think included in the list, you need to include what the obstacles are to learning and what the strategies are for success. And the obstacles would be, my child doesn't know how to use an alarm clock, has never, is not familiar with how to use that app on the phone or a regular alarm clock if that's what they have. So what are the strategies for success? And I've got a list of things here: visual prompts, written prompts of a task sequence, use your technology, phone apps, and accessibility supports. Wherever possible, give them opportunities to practice, practice, practice. Also in your vision, think about the job of the future for your child. Will it be independent employment, supported work, or some type of customized employment for them? And I'm going to make a comment about a shout out about zipper ties. Our son desperately wanted to put his own tie on for prom and for going to worship services, just like his dad. And he has bilateral integration issues where using those two hands together was extremely challenging for him. So I found out about zipper ties. They're widely available at Walmart, at Amazon, and you just put them over your head. it was such a joyful moment for him when he was able to just put that tie over his head and then pull it up. And he was able to wear a tie just like his dad. And it looked, no one knows it's any different than anything else. Whenever possible, give your student opportunities to practice, practice, practice. Accept that your child is not going to master everything and sometimes will need assistance from technology and others. And that is truly okay. Next slide, please. This is a quote from a friend and colleague who's a special education teacher, and I think it's just a very important thing to keep in mind as you're thinking about transition. One important component of happiness is achieving something that you didn't think you could do. And believe me, I understand how difficult it is for our students to acquire new skills. There's that phase of, I won't do it, I can't do it, I want to do it. How do I do it? Oh, okay, I'll try to do it. I can do it. I will do it. And then, yes, I did it. That's a moment of joy. And all persons, including those with disabilities, will have a sense of accomplishment when they learn that skill and can say, yes, I can do it. Next slide. Each stage of life is built on the previous stage. And I think it's very important that we focus on opportunities to practice that will enable your child to practice and acquire new skills. I would say that when our son was 3 years old, we had a school psychologist who told me that your son may need as many as 200 opportunities to acquire a skill. Now, that's a pretty scary thing to hear. But the fact of the matter is, he did acquire quite a number of skills. I was told when he was first diagnosed that the most I could hope for is that I might never hear his voice, but maybe he would be able to live in a group home. That's the most possibly I could hope for. Well, he was able to speak after a great deal of work. He didn't manage to acquire pronouns until he was in second grade and understand them, but he's now able to talk, able to converse. He's a very friendly guy and has friends, and very positive thing. But there have to be opportunities to practice. So you practice at home, with your therapist, at school, via community activities. Community activities are tremendously important. Being a part of a sports group through Special Olympics or other type of organization, participating in training programs, doing art activities, or whatever the interests are of your student. I would also commend you to consider doing volunteer activities as a family, as an individual, and virtual volunteering. I mentioned about how our son did not succeed as a volunteer working working on a movie set. However, the fact that he did not love it was really important because we learned something from that experience. We learned what was not going to work. And sometimes that's part of the journey, is to figure out what doesn't work, and that's not what you're going to practice further. As a family, we did every year through our synagogue, we went to Mitzvah Day and we would do a volunteer project. The one year we worked as a family at the handing out food and serving food at the homeless shelter. Well, our son is not a good conversationalist, and he was very young then. The only thing that he could do was pass out napkins. However, that was a very positive experience for him. Then, as he got a little bit older, we packed meal kits that were going to be sent to needy people and those with medical needs. And it's kind of a Meals on Wheels things where other people deliver it. And he loved it, and it was great. Oh, sorry, my clock is chiming. And then later yet, we went and worked for a medical organization where we packed excess medical supplies that were going to be sent to developing countries. And at that point, it was really incredible because he loved the counting. He loved stacking those syringes and medical instruments and bandages into a group, putting them in packages, and then packing them and sealing them up in the package. He absolutely loved it. He was focused. He loved the methodical practice. I'm almost done with that slide. Sorry, I've been here a little while, but he loved the predictability of the work. And oh dear, I'm still on that slide. I'm still on the opportunities to practice slide. I've sort of stayed here a while, but anyway, he because of this, it was really informative about what we wanted to focus on when he was in high school in terms of his courses and in terms of helping to identify his strengths. So now let's go to the next slide, which is what do employers expect? I think it's very important for parents to know what the employers expect from their employees. They need to be capable of wearing clean and neat clothing appropriate to the workplace. Managing their own medications independently is extremely important. Following a daily calendar and schedule is very important. Being capable of following directions and staying on task without constant supervision. And also those soft skills. Being able to communicate clearly and behave appropriately in the workplace. And this, I have to say, is a huge issue. You not using your cell phone during working hours. This is something that many of our Ventures ATL employees have to learn to not respond when they get their text and other things. I also want to point out that whether we like it or not, and other people will judge our children that are differently able when they arrive at the workplace. And if your child is a literal thinker, as our son is, and were to see a plate of brownies in the break room with a little sign that says, help yourself, the soft skills that are required here is that really means not help yourself, it means take just one. Neurotypical people might understand that's you just take just one. Others who are literal thinkers might not really get that message. Next slide. The building blocks for a successful transition are to look for ways to give your child responsibilities through the community and at home. And I'm focused here on the at home part. Make your child the family weather reporter. This is a responsibility our child had, in which he had to look up the weather app daily and figure out whether or not it was, this would happen very early when he was in either middle school or high school, where he would figure out whether it was long sleeves, short sleeves, long pants, or shorts, set out his clothing. Did he need a jacket? Did he need a raincoat? Did he need a heavy coat? But that was something that he did every day. And he took pride in the fact that he was a weather reporter for our family. Also, make him a kitchen assistant or her a kitchen assistant. Here you see this picture of this young man sorting and putting away spoons and forks. That's a wonderful place to begin. Next slide. More examples of responsibilities may require more hand-over-hand prompts. You see the young girl there who is working with her mother, and the mother is hand over hand, and you gradually fade that out. But sometimes it has to be hand over hand to start, just to have that success. I also want to tell you about backward chaining. You all may be familiar, but backward chaining is that last step to complete something when there's a sequence to do something. So in this picture, you see the woman who has the mom who has the girl who's putting the juice on the into the refrigerator. At our house, our son was putting away the Heinz ketchup. He loved Heinz ketchup, and it was often on our table as a condiment. And the way we started is that he had to put away the ketchup bottle on the door of the refrigerator. And we started where it was just the last step. Here, David, put away the ketchup. And I would be pointing right at where he was going to put it. And then you back up, and gradually he was able to go all the way from the kitchen table, put it in the refrigerator. It took years, but ultimately he was able to not only put away the ketchup, he could put away all the condiments and put them out before dinner, which was a great thing for us and less work for mom. Next slide, please. I'm including this because how to teach your child to handle medications is very important. Oftentimes, we are focused mostly on just the one step of taking that medication, swallowing that pill, and that's a very important skill at an early age. But in order for many people to be able to work independently, they must take medications at a certain time. That's certainly true with our son. He must take a pill at 10 o'clock in the morning and 10 o'clock at night, not 10 o'clock every single day, and he knows it. So that skill was acquired. Even filling a pill organizer, that skill was acquired. But what happened is he needed to know how to manage his pills and know when to reorder. And this is something that I developed that I thought maybe you all might like looking at. So the first step is write the numbers 1, 2, and 3 on each bottle with a red Sharpie pen. And then every week you fill the pill organizer and you have it there. And I say, note to parent, make sure that this is correct until the skill is mastered. Trust, but verify. Then the third step, set an alarm on the student's phone to vibrate so that the meds are taken at the specific time. And the fourth step is as soon as your student opens bottle 3, it is time to tell mom to check the date and refill the prescription. In the case of our son, he takes pills for seizures, and they're not something that's frequently the pharmacist has in stock just all the time. So I have to make sure I have at least 3 weeks to get those pills filled each month. So that's why this is so vital in our case. Next slide, please. Community walking is a very essential skill for all differently abled students. One of the things that we realized with our son when we were working on this in the Kroger parking lot is that he was very much distracted by his cell phone. He had made his grocery list on his cell phone, but also people love him and he loves people, and they send him text and phone calls and other things. And that phone has got to be in his pocket. That is our rule. When you are walking in the street, in a parking lot, your phone must be in your pocket. And it has worked. He's very responsible now, but it took some training to walk safely. So give your child increasing responsibilities over many years so that they will be ready for that time when they are adults. Next slide, please. I want to give some examples of visual prompts and other prompts that are used in the workplace, not just for differently able employees, but all employees. At many restaurants now, there are visuals that are used for employees who are making salads or who are washing dishes or doing various tasks. And I think that it's wonderful that this is available now, not just for differently able, but for all. Next slide, please. There's also closed captioning available now, which is a wonderful thing for employees who are deaf or hard of hearing, and screen readers for employees with visual impairments. Next slide, please. I'm also including here a visual and written prompt for product fulfillment. This is one that we use at our office at Ventures ATL. Bring the labels into the packing room and grab the items for packing. Next, create boxes. Next, fold the tissue paper, line the boxes, place the items in the box, and ask your manager to check the box. Fourth, after the box is scheduled, is checked by the manager, seal the box and add the label. And over time, we don't need to use this visual schedule anymore for our employees, but when they're first learning, it is so helpful to have it both visually and written for our employees. Our data management employees also have written prompts, which are available when we start a new project. Our projects are all on teams, and we do data management work where we do database cleanup, we do validation, accuracy of data, trying to do these kinds of things for our client companies. And there's a protocol for each and every project, and we train our employees to follow that protocol. Over time, they will not need that written prompt, but it really helps everybody stay on the same page. Next slide, please. This is very important. Sometimes when you're cooking, it's messy, but the outcome is good. That's something I'm sure we can all relate to. What is really important here is the end result is all that counts. The end result is all that counts. Our son and my sister both were able, have both had fulfilling lives. However, it was messy at times. There were setbacks, there were challenges, there were failures, but there was still a great deal of progress. And everybody just takes one step at a time on their journey, and they get to where they get, and that's okay. Next slide, please. And here's our end result. You're looking at a picture of the employees at Ventures ATL. Our son happens to be behind the young woman in the striped jacket. He has the turquoise shirt. He is someone for whom we didn't know what our expectations would be, but he just celebrated his 6th anniversary as a data management associate at Ventures ATL. And here I want to say, it was not just a linear upwards and onward kind of thing. Like I said, there were setbacks, there were things that were challenging. However, and he did not go straight to work from high school. He did not have a paying job until he was 27 years old. However, it is incredible to see the progress that he has made. And by the way, he did not start at Ventures ATL the day we opened the doors. We felt we did not want to build Ventures ATL around just our son. We wanted to create an organization that would enable not just our son, but many people to have fulfilling careers. And that when he was ready, then that's when he would come. I want to say something about the employee experience at Ventures ATL and how transformative it's been for these individuals who all have had their challenges over the years. Oh, goodness. My clock is once again chiming. I apologize. I want to talk about the impact of on our employees of working at a place that values their strengths and offers support in their areas where they could use additional support. There is a social engagement that takes place at our office every week that I think is very important. On Fridays, we do a huddle where we go around the room and everyone is asked to say, tell me something good that happened to you this week and what's something that you look forward to. It's not long. Each person just has something to say. Some people are extremely shy and they're not confident speakers. One individual that I'm looking at right now, not my son, but another one, told me how hard it was when they first started trying to say those words. And now this person is extremely confident and engaged. That social engagement is great. The personal confidence and self-esteem that has grown, not just in one employee, all of these employees, is amazing. There's also, of course, the financial reward of getting a paycheck that can't be underestimated. But I find that what our employees really value is that they help our clients and that they have been able to work as part of a team where they are doing something that is meaningful and something that they truly enjoy. And if you enjoy what you're doing, you never work a day in your life. Next slide. Here is a link to resources, and I want to make a few comments about some of them. I've included the transition guide from the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. I think it's an excellent resource, and if you have a child with medical needs and health conditions, you may want to take a look at it. I also want to talk about the Perkins School for the Blind's transition resources page. I am fortunate indeed to have a friend and colleague who has put together a lot of the materials there. And even if your child is not someone who has visual impairments, I believe you will be inspired and find food for thought on that website. And so there's the link. One of the things that helped me a lot when we were trying to figure out our son's strength was the person-centered planning. And so I have included a fact sheet there, which you can click on and look at. Our son, who has, as I say, bilateral integration issues, wanted to be able to fold his own clothes and for laundry. And I wanted him to do it too, because that's part of being independent. And again, I say, use those technical supports. There's a TikTok, which you can look at on when you have more time, that shows you using a cardboard box, just you score it in different places and cut it. And it's a folding board so that you can fold your clothes perfectly every single time. You simply put them in a certain place. Virtual volunteering is a wonderful way for a person who has transportation issues to get some work experience at home. And there are all kinds of opportunities, from artwork to data management to whatever. We've had at least 3 people that I know from Ventures ATL who have used this website and found it very helpful. So I've included that. There's also 2 articles, An Employer's Guide to Supporting Workers with Autism by Keith Wargo and my husband and co-founder, Chet Hurwitz. from at Ventures ATL. Keith Wargo is the head of Autism Speaks. Chet is our board chair at Ventures ATL. And finally, if you want to know more about Ventures ATL, we are highlighted in the Tech Entrepreneurs of Autism, an article that was in Forbes magazine in June. So thank you so much. I'm ready for my questions now.
Thank you, Sarah. Anyone that has a question for Sarah, please feel free to enter it into the chat. So far, Sarah, we don't have any comments other than Alexandria thanking you and including the Perkins website information in the chat box as well.
Okay, that's fine. And I would be, if you want to allow others to, jump in and make comments or share any of their story, I'd be very happy to hear it.
Absolutely. And families are also welcome to unmute and ask questions to Sarah if they prefer. Sarah, we did get another comment that the apps are really helpful and really support autonomy.
Thanks. I'm so glad I read that in the chat box just then. Well, I tried to stay, you asked for half an hour, and I just want to say, go ahead, somebody, what types of jobs do you offer at Ventures ATL? Well, 90% of our work is data management, and the individuals who we hire must be able to use spreadsheets, and they have to have a comfort level and a proficiency with the basic functions of spreadsheets. I know that this may be a reach for some individuals who are here. We also have product fulfillment work. Product fulfillment is about 10% of what we do. We are the exclusive distributor of the Dooney and Burke Autism Awareness handbags, and we mail them to people all over the country. We also recently had a product fulfillment project in which we, I think, sent 24,000 vaccination kits for the Autism Society. We packed them. They came in various boxes. There's sunglasses for the light, sensitivity to light. There's a squeezy ball anxiety ball to squeeze. There are headphones to wear. And then there's a little thing that they put on the arm to desensitize the arm before they give the shots. And the Autism Society asked our group to pick, pack, and ship the contents of each kit and mail them. And we've mailed them to medical providers, and we've mailed 24,000, and I think we have some more kits we're going to be sending soon. That's another one of our product fulfillment. Product fulfillment is certainly something our employees enjoy, but we are not a warehouse. Our focus, because we want to provide meaningful, sustainable positions, we find that there's a greater demand for our data management services than for our product fulfillment, because we're not a warehouse, but we do these projects periodically, and the handbags we have done since the beginning. And do we have any volunteer opportunities? We do not have any volunteer opportunities. Could you tell me what that question was? It disappeared. I gotta pull the chat up. Chat. Okay, let me look at it. Okay. Where do we look for current openings? Is there a web address to look for? If you're looking at Ventures ATL, yes. Go to if you click on the hyperlink that's by my name, that will take you to the Ventures ATL. If it's www.venturesatl.com. If you go to that, that's Ventures ATL, and it's on the first page. That's the link. If you go there, you go to join our team request that's on the website, and anyone who would like to apply would be able to do it. I see a question from who can help assess if the person has the skills or they can be developed for these types of jobs, any types of jobs. Well, that who helps assess? Assessment is part of the transition process that your school will work with you on that. When you do your IEP, there are assessments that are done. If your child is qualified for a voc rehab, which our son was, they assess your child at voc rehab. And there are also organizations like Bobby Dodd and other places that do assessments also of individuals. Jewish Family and Career Services, I know they do assessments at times too. There are also independent people who you can pay to do these things, but some of these things are part of the transition process that your school will provide you with. I'm reading. Let's see.
Thank you, Sara.
I'm sorry, we don't have volunteer opportunities. We actually have more applications. We get applications at Ventures ATL, I will say, not only from all over the country, but we also get them from other countries in the world where people are just so interested in what we do. Let's see.
Sara, that is absolutely amazing. If anyone has any other questions for Sara, please feel free to add that to the chat now while we still have her time, or you're welcome to unmute and ask Sara a question.
I really want to underscore how important it is if you can find ways to volunteer, because that gives your child something to put on their resume. And, you know, for many people, including neurotypical people who are coming out of, school, out of high school or college, they don't have a lot to write on there. But if they have volunteer experience, and at Ventures ATL, if somebody has done volunteer experience and it's of some substantive, whatever it is, we regard that very highly, because it shows that they've taken responsibility for doing something. Well, I thank you all for what you do. I know that there are super moms on this call, and I can't tell you how much Focus helped me when I first came here. Our son was diagnosed in Philadelphia, and then with autism, and then we moved here in 1997, and we had to do an IEP here and everything else, because we already had an IEP there, move here. And I didn't know who the organizations were, because when we left here, he was born here. When we left here, he didn't have a diagnosis, but by the time he was 2 years old, he did. So I can't say how much I appreciate the support that I got from Focus and from friends that I have made through Focus. I have a very good friend who couldn't join us today, but who I met through Focus, and we're still friends today. And our sons are, now in their early 30s, and we are still friends after all these years. So kudos to all the wonderful work that you do at Focus.
Wow, Sara, thank you. This workshop is all about Ventures ATL, so thank you for just talking about Focus. And reminiscing about being a focus mom, because you're absolutely right. There are some amazing people, including yourself, on this call, and we are just all doing it. We're all just trying to figure it out. And
Mhm.
we already know that there's no books on parenting. But I just thank you so much for walking us through how you started Ventures and what brought you into doing all this.
And I want to say, I want to give a shout out about my sister. My sister received kind of the same word from the doctors. The doctors told my mother and father, maybe you should institutionalize her because she perhaps is, not going to have a great future. She had a birth trauma and was considered, the term was retarded. That was the word that they used back then. Well, my mother happened to also be a teacher, and a regular ed teacher. She taught adults, actually. But she was determined that she was going to do well. And she just kept coaching her up and coaching her up. And she ultimately not only went to technical school and got some, she took cosmetology, whatever it is, for hairdressing. That did not work. She tried it, volunteered, didn't work. But she ultimately worked in a dentist office. She worked in a restaurant. She worked for Salvation Army for many years and was very happy. But not my parents didn't, they even taught her to drive, and she drove not on highways, but on just little streets. She got married and was happily married for over 37 years until I lost her in 2022 to a heart attack. But she has been such an inspiration for my life, and was such a wonderful, wonderful human being. But the expectations of her when she was first born and when she was coming along she's challenged. Nothing's going to happen here. And I just want you to know, a lot can happen. A lot can happen over time. You just take one little small step. Never underestimate that. Those small steps do add up.
Sarah, thank you so much. As you can see in the comments, everyone is just really grateful for your time today. And we
Thanks.
can't thank you enough for just telling us about Ventures and what all you've been doing. So thank you for your time. We appreciate you.
You're most welcome. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Thank you. Everyone stay safe. And again, Sarah, thank you for your time.
Bye.